Hi there. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, Grow Your Business More Efficiently with Gemini for Google Workspace. I'm Shomik Ghosh, Senior Assistant Editor at the Economic Times CIO, and I'm glad to be your host and moderator for the session. Now, the enterprise IT space has often been a battleground for emerging technologies. We saw it first with the microchip war, followed by the cloud war, AI war, and now the Gen AI war. Now, Google has unveiled the next stage of AI integration with Gemini. Advanced Google AI modules are now powering Google Workspace's everyday applications, assisting project management in different ways. And organizations have been leveraging Google Workspace to overcome specific operational challenges and boost productivity. In today's discussion, we are going to be talking about streamlining projects with the power of AI, collaboration and productivity on a single platform, and of course, data protection and efficiency enhancement. Joining me today are two gentlemen who have been working with the AI space, Gen AI space, very closely, and they'd be happy to share their challenges and the best practices with you. So join me in welcoming Prasanna Ranganathan. He's the founding member of Epify. Prasanna is the founding team and is the CIO and head of engineering at 5money. It's a money management app based out of India, which was launched in 2021. Now, this multi-purpose banking app is actually a tech-first AI-driven package with a contemporary UI experience. Prasanna, glad to have you, and I can't wait to share the kind of initial projects you've done with Gen AI and what's been your observation thus far.
Delighted to be here, Shomik.
Sure. Up next is Pratik Bajaj, Google Workspace CX Specialist at Google India. And Pratik is charged with the task of evangelizing how brands can leverage Gen AI. He helps clients leverage technology solutions which helps propel ideas and converts them to business growth. Pratik, thank you for joining us and welcome to today's webinar.
Thanks for having me here, Shomik.
All right. Well, to start with, Prasanna, we have seen the fintech space, especially, one of the biggest advantages is that it's been cloud native all through. And they've been the pioneers when it comes to adopting new technologies. And that's been the case with AI, and we're seeing the same thing unravel with Gen AI as well. And you and your company have been clearing one of the early adopters of Gemini for Google Workspace. Share some of the benefits and what have you experienced while collaborating with Gemini? What kind of things, what capabilities has it brought to the table for you?
Sure. For context, I'm representing inputs and feedback from folks from a variety of functions that have been using Gemini for Workspace at Phi, right? I'm talking about not just your software engineers, but also folks from the people in HR team, from the design function that we have, as well as strategy and business analysts. And basically a very wide and varied set of folks have managed to use Gemini hands-on and get a lot of benefits. The first benefit I would highlight is just being able to search across the entire repository of documents, not just docs, but sheets, slides, and even the content, which could be PDFs and other formats in the drive. And the big benefit here being, this is not your typical keyword burst search where if you don't get the keyword right, then you're in tough luck sort of situation, right? It's literally the power of semantic search and the ability to understand what's inside the content and being able to even link diverse set of content residing in different repositories and bringing that all together for you. I think that is something which everyone sees as a really, really big benefit in terms of being able to use Gemini. Now, in addition to that, there are a whole bunch of other benefits, which I would all sort of bucket under the generation and refining of content bucket. To give a few specific examples, you could be a product manager who's trying to come up with a PRD, and you can rely on Gemini to bootstrap you and get you going and refine your thought process and whatnot. You could be a software engineer and you can easily generate code samples and example code and whatnot to get going again. And same, if you're a designer or a marketer, you can rely on Gemini to help refine the content and make tweaks and suggestions to help land the message better, right? And again, a key thing that I would highlight here is the ability to use already existing repository content and further refine it, where the ability to leverage existing context really pushes the benefit that you see from Gen AI better than some of the previous Gen tools that we have had. In addition to these two primary highlights, a couple of other things that I would add is it's also very useful in the context of sheets, very easy and super helpful to create formulas and find patterns in data and do a pivot table and stuff, right? Because for a long time, a lot of these slightly intermediate to advanced features, people have to, again, they would go to a Google search and try to figure it out. But now it's easy and intuitive, and it just works a lot more easily and effectively for you, right? So that's yet another benefit that I would highlight. But yeah, these are sort of the broad big benefits that folks across the various functions have already realized in leveraging Gemini as part of Workspace.
Got it. And great points there, Prasanna, especially in an industry such as yours, where you have to be working in the real time. Every millisecond counts for you, and of course, you would want something that's agile, that's quick, and that can take real time decisions as well. Now, Prasanna, I mean, a lot of CIOs, a lot of CTOs out there are dabbling with Gen AI capabilities. It's basically new at this point in time, and a lot of users may not be updated on all the capabilities. So, what role do you think technology companies like Google, can do to improve the business?
I think to start with, the fact that you can get hands-on with these tools without really committing to a big upfront commitment or anything, I think to me that itself is a big benefit, right? So if you're out there on the fence, unsure about should I use it or not, the best way to figure it out is give it a try, right? Because if at all there is a challenge out there, it's the fact that these tools, they make you more efficient, but they need you to put in some effort to change your habits, because it's your existing workflows, existing habits that are made a lot more efficient and improved by leveraging these tools. But anything that's habitual, you have to put in a little bit of effort to overcome the little bit of inertia, right? So to that effect, the fact that you can do a trial with Gemini or the other tools itself is a big deal. And I would encourage everyone to make use of these free trials and do a hands-on, and then figure out what benefits they're able to realize. Now, beyond that, we live in the age of social media and content and whatnot, right? So beyond just the standard documentation and kind of the boring manual of the older years, I think Google and other orgs can invest in more content of all variety, right? Short form, long form, stories, videos, and whatnot, to make it a lot more easier for folks to consume and learn and adopt in their own self-driven manner, and combine personalization as well, because Google is obviously good at it. I think that those would be a couple of tactical things that can be done to drive more adoption and encourage more folks to try these tools and realize the benefits that many folks have already started realizing.
All right. Now, all of us have some kind of a wish list when it comes to AI implementation. What's your wish list? What kind of problems are you trying to solve with AI? And also, is there a roadmap? How can you get there?
I would say in general, right? I think especially in our org, there is pretty good awareness of what all benefits can be realized. So to start with, there is still, I would state that, some gap in realizing the full potential, where a lot of the use cases that I mentioned and the benefits that I mentioned, it works 95-98% of the time, but maybe there are a couple of instances where it's slightly off the mark. So just realizing the full potential of what Gen AI can do for all these various functions, as diverse from all the way from engineering to business and whatnot, right? Just realizing the full potential has still some room to grow, and that would be a big deal. Now, if I were to go a little wild and try to become more creative in imagining what else might be possible, maybe randomish wish list could be, if AI could somehow help me fix my routine, make me more disciplined and become more healthier and fitter. I don't know. Because the way I see it, right, we are sort of going through the value chain where it's not just, we're not talking about your mundane repetitive tasks, which is what computing and programming automated and made easy many decades ago, right? Now we're sort of going up the value chain and the skill chain, where even creative work, creative output is being done by AI. So just taking that trajectory forward, I would say the next frontier is improving the health and the outcome of humans in general, right? So fitness, health, I would say these would be some frontiers where if AI could help us all, that would be part of my wish list.
Brilliant. Well put there, Prasanna. And yes, I do agree with you, especially when it comes to emerging technologies. They've played a very significant role in consumer technology as well. And often we have seen that, technologies that are adopted by consumer tech uh, go on the fast path. And that's been the same case with AI as well and Gen AI as well, what we're seeing right now. So, Prasanna, you've given us a lot of things to chew upon. You've talked about the benefits. Now, the thing is, the audience would love to see all this on their screens. They would love to see what it can actually do practically and some of the real world complexities that Gen AI can go ahead and solve for them. So, at this point, Pratik, I would invite you to take us through the capabilities of Gen AI. How do you see the space progressing, and basically what it brings to enterprise IT at this point in time?
Sure. Thanks, Shamik, and thanks, Prasanna, for sharing your valuable feedback. It has been awesome to see Money adopting some of the newer technologies, including Gemini for Google Workspace. And that's what gives us a lot of inspiration to us and the entire audience who are listening to us today. So we'll talk about how generative AI is available for every organization and every type of company, whether you're a small organization where you're a single person company, whether you're a SMB with 50 to 100, 200, 500 people in your company, or whether you are a large enterprise with thousands of folks in your organization. There are multiple ways how you could leverage generative AI. And for Google, all our generative AI efforts have been branded under Gemini. So we'll talk about how Gemini can help your organization and how it can help you as a professional. And the reason why we are doing that is we believe we are living in the era of AI-powered work. Today, a lot of the work that was manual could be done automatically through technology. And that allows us more time to have a better work-life balance. It also gives us more time to think of strategic work that we could deliver for ourselves and for our organizations. It also helps us to broaden our horizons, give us new capabilities or new wings to fly, which we otherwise did not know we could do. And we will showcase some of that in a live demo today. Uh, and
Fantastic.
you know, as far as a recent study by Deloitte goes, 31% of business leaders expect a substantial transformation from AI within the next 12 months. So we are not talking about the future, we are talking about now. And we'll see how some of the customers who have been early adopters, these are some of the benefits that they talk about, what they've experienced by leveraging generative AI and specifically Gemini for Google Workspace. There's obviously improvement in overall productivity. There's also enhancement in the quality of work that the employees have been able to deliver. And also the employees are able to identify new capabilities or new work that they are able to deliver that they were otherwise not able to deliver. So that's a key aspect, and we'll talk about that today. Uh, and this adoption of new technology always leads to better employee engagement within the organization. And that in turn leads to better customer satisfaction, partner satisfaction, and an overall innovative way of working in an organization. So a forward-looking organization is what we call companies like Money, who have adopted new technologies and who have been one of the early adopters. Now, as organizations adopt generative AI technology, it's also critical for companies like Google to provide this technology to you in a safe and a secure manner. And what Google has done is we have built enterprise-grade controls in Gemini for Google Workspace. So this is an enterprise class application. It is not a consumer application. And your data is safe and secure within your organization's boundaries. Google doesn't get access to your data that you use with AI. No other company apart from you gets access to that data. So you are in a safe environment when it comes to the Gemini for Google Workspace, which is an enterprise secure application. So I would like to now introduce the Gemini application and what all can you do inside this application. So Gemini is an organization-wide AI assistant. And Gemini, being an AI assistant, has a lot of capabilities. And we will showcase some of those capabilities, like how it can be a research partner, a brainstorming partner, an analysis tool, or a platform where you can explore more, and you could probably do a Q&A with AI to find out if your analysis works or not.
Right.
And how do you do that? So let me show you a quick example of that. So let's say, so this is the Gemini app, which is gemini.google.com. And on the Gemini app, you could prompt the app with certain questions, and we would showcase how the response comes up. Now, let's say I'm a product manager and I want to create a new product capability. So let's say I want to create a plan to add a face recognition system inside Fi Money app. So let's say I'm an employee of Fi Money, and I want to add face recognition on the app, so that when the user wants to use the app, they could just utilize face recognition to unlock the app. Now, I'm
Mhm.
not a product manager for Fi Money. I don't work for them. I work for Google. But even without those qualifications, I could quickly work with Gemini and I could get an answer to my response. And as you could see, I get a very detailed answer where Gemini is talking about defining goals and requirements, looking at what should be the technical design, uh, what should implementation look like, what should be the ongoing management and improvements. And it's also giving me certain important considerations. So it's definitely given me a first cut response, the initial plan, and I could work with my team to enhance this plan, or I could continue to work with Gemini to enhance this plan as well. For an example, if I want to double down on security audits, I could just select that and I could click on modify to make it regenerate this particular area, ask it to make it shorter, longer, or completely remove this as well. Let's
Right.
say I like what I see. What I could do then is I could straight away connect this information directly to my document, which is a Google Doc. So I could just click on export to doc, and this would directly create a document for me, which is ready to use. So I can just click on open the document, and it automatically opens that document for me. So no longer do I have to worry about manually copying that document and then pasting it from one place to the other. The other thing is, even when I'm outside the Gemini app and now I'm within the Google Doc, you would see that Gemini would follow me everywhere. So Gemini is inside this Google Doc as well. As you could see here, I could ask Gemini to do n number of things. But in this case, what I've done is I've selected the highlighted content, and I click here, and I can ask it to change the tone from formal to casual. I could ask it to summarize, bulletize, elaborate, shorten, or rephrase the content. In this case, let's say I want to elaborate on the content. So I could ask Gemini to give me an elaborated answer on this particular content, which is a great way of continuously leveraging AI to make iterations on your initial document. So as you can see, it has given me a more elaborated answer now. And if I like it, I can utilize it. If I don't like it, I can, again, refine this further till the time I'm good with it. And once I'm good with it, I could click on insert, and it automatically inserts this for me. Once I've got the initial plan, I could definitely share this across to my teams, and then together we could work on refining the content. So that's a great way of, not just creating a new plan, but also getting from 0 to 1, getting into the execution mode straight away, which is a cool way of leveraging AI. Going back to Gemini, and there are more use cases that you could use Gemini for. Uh, so what you could also do is, a lot of times there is a lot of data inside files. So we have information which is inside files. They can be Google format files like a Google Doc or a Google Sheet or a Google Slide. This could also be a Excel file or a Microsoft document or a PDF document. So there are multiple types of documents which contain enterprise data. What you could do is you could leverage Gemini. You could upload that data from your Google Drive or from your computer, and then you could ask questions from Gemini. Let's see an example of how that works. So
Yeah.
let's say I have the plus button here. What I could do is I could click on add from drive. So this is adding this document from my Google Drive. And I have one of the documents called as Football World Cup data. So I have some World Cup data. Let's look at what this data is all about. So I've got World Cup data from 1930 onwards. And it talks about when was the World Cup hosted, who was the host country, who was the winner and the runner-up, the average attendance, uh, how many teams participated, how many matches happened overall, how many goals were scored, and average goals in the tournament. So some data around the Football World Cup. Now, what I could do is I could ask Gemini questions about this data. And one of the questions that I have is that I want to figure out, or I want Gemini to create a chart for me. So I want it to create a chart that shows audience across editions and goals across editions. So what I could do is I could just simply give the sheet to Gemini, and I can ask that question. And now what Gemini would do is it would try to analyze the data or analyze the information that I've given to it, and it would try and come up with a response. A lot of times people inside organizations are not very comfortable handling data or handling big data, and sometimes they have to go to a data analyst because they feel that they are not competent enough. By leveraging AI, you are your own data expert. You could leverage Gemini to build your own analysis, to build your own charts, and understand the data very deeply, which you were otherwise not able to do, or which would otherwise be time consuming. So that's a cool way how you can expand your horizons and not worry about getting information from somebody else. Now you could be your own data analyst or a data scientist and expand your horizons and get into business insights straight away from the data that you have, which is another cool capability of Gemini. Uh, a lot of our customers have also given us feedback that they want to customize Gemini. They want Gemini to work the way they work as an organization, and every organization works differently. They have a different DNA. Uh, and that's where we brought the customize element inside Gemini, which is one of the newest capabilities that we have introduced. And we call it GEMS, or we call it the GEMS Manager inside Gemini. And what GEMS Manager allows you to do is it allows you to build automations specific to your department, specific to you as an individual, or specific to you as an organization, and which works in a diverse way. And I would like to showcase some of that in a live example as well. So
Yeah.
what I've done is I have created a gem for employee policy, so that whenever somebody has a question about a policy inside the organization, they can just reach out to Gemini and they can just ask these questions from the gems. So what kind of questions do we usually have? Like, for an example, how many leaves do I have left? And what Gemini would do is, at the back end, Gemini is connected to various data sources so that it's able to bring the answer to me. And it says that I've got 18 leaves left for the year. Now, let's say I want to ask, how much Mediclaim have I used this year? So now I'm changing the topic from leaves. I'm going to Mediclaim, and Gemini is able to identify that I've been able to use 38,000 rupees as Mediclaim. How much is the Mediclaim limit? and I want to know how much is the limit. And it talks me that, hey, I have a gold plan. So my Mediclaim limit for the year is 5 lakh rupees. Okay. Now let's change gears again. My hospital room is rupees 12,000. Is it covered in the policy? So these are general questions that employees have every now and then, right? They might have questions about leaves. They might have questions about how to use Mediclaim, for an example. And as you see here, my Mediclaim policy has a room capped at 10,000 rupees per night. So it clearly says that, up to 10,000, it's going to be covered. The remaining I'll have to pay. Now, if I did not have this, what I had to do was I had to go back to my policy document and read all the fine prints, which used to take a lot of time. And sometimes when you are in the need, you don't have time. You want to take a quick decision. So Gemini helps us, and this is the GEMS manager, which helps us inside Gemini. What more does an employee need to know? Let's say I have a customer travel. So for my customer travel, total expense is rupees 80,000. Do I need any pre-approval? So now I'm sending Gemini, or I'm sending Google Gems to a different direction. Now I'm talking about my travel policy. So if you look at it, I've taken it from my leave policy to my Mediclaim policy and now to my travel policy. And now it gives me an answer that no, I do not need a travel pre-approval. Is business flights approved? Let me check if I can fly business class, which it says that there needs to be a valid reason. So maybe I don't need to fly business class anyways. But this is a cool way how you could leverage Gemini and customize it according to your organization's requirements, so that your employees do not have to worry about finding information when they need it the most. And that's the most critical part, that it is allowing the ability to identify information and then use that information in the rightful manner. Now, while this is an example of an employee policy bot, similarly, you could create a bot for a particular project that you're running, or a particular process inside your organization, so that people are able to quickly get answers to their questions, and they're able to take business decisions without worrying about figuring out from the policy documents or policy papers, which is a lot of information. So that's another cool thing how we leverage Gemini. One of the other things that we've tried to do is figure out where do people spend their time in a particular day. So a lot of times are spent in meetings, right? So Google always looked at how could we make your meeting experience more meaningful. And one of the ways that we have realized is that everyone wants to know what's happened in a meeting. So Google has introduced Take Notes for Me inside Google Meet, so that whenever you are in the middle of a meeting, you can go through the meeting notes. And after the meeting is done, uh, Google Docs automatically sends you a meeting summary with the minutes of the meeting, so that nobody has to take down the minutes of the meeting. Google automatically takes that down. And this information is again secured with your enterprise grade security, so that you know that the meeting information or the meeting notes is within your organization. It's not shared outside till the time you do not specifically share it. That's again a cool innovation that we have leveraged Gemini for. So we use our Gemini AI capabilities inside Google Workspace, Google Meet application to get this done. Uh, Another thing that we realized is sometimes we are overbooked. We want to attend a meeting, but we already have something else planned at that point of time, and that doesn't give us enough time to attend two meetings. So this is a common problem, and we realized that upfront, that what if we could offer attend a meeting on my behalf to our users, so that whenever you are double booked or you're not able to attend a meeting, AI could meet on your behalf and it could even ask questions on your behalf. And this is how the experience looks like. So for an example, I have a meeting, I do not have time. What I could do is I could ask AI to attend that meeting on my behalf and ask a few questions as well on my behalf, and get me the answers to those questions. And during the meeting, when I'm not there, I want to showcase that experience as well. Yeah. So that's one of the ways how we are making uh, the meetings more successful for our users. Changing gears, I want to go back to one of the areas that we touched up earlier, which is how can AI help broaden our horizons? How can it give additional capability to users? So let's say I am currently working in the sales team of Google, but for some reason I've been given an additional responsibility for inventory management inside my organization.
Mhm.
And what I could do is I could then utilize Gemini to build automations for me. So what we've done is we have created Gemini chatbots inside Google Workspace. So Google App Sheet is one of our no-code applications. And what
Mhm.
we've done is we have embedded Gemini inside App Sheet and created this bot so that I could just chat with the bot and I could ask the bot to do something for me. And in this case, I could say, create an app for inventory management. And as you would see, Gemini uh, is asking me to start over. Since I was already doing a project, I can say, yes, please start over. And I can ask it to create an app for inventory management. And as you would see, Gemini is now looking at my information that I've given it. It's automatically creating an app structure for me. So I'm not a coder. I don't know how to create an app, but by leveraging Gemini and by collaborating with Gemini, I could get more things done than what I was otherwise able to. So now I can create this inventory management app. It's also giving me the next step. So it's saying that, hey, why don't you add some notifications? So let's say I've added some notifications. And as soon as I'm done, I can click on create an app and it would automatically create this application in three modes. It will create it in Android, on iOS, and also on the web. So that even when I'm not a developer, I don't have coding experience, I could leverage Gemini to get my work done. I don't have to worry about sending that project to somebody else and waiting for them to do that work for me, which really helps me to broaden my horizons, help me to get work done, and be a part of the digital transformation inside my organization that my leadership always expects employees to do. Uh, and that's a great way of enabling your users to leverage AI to get more done. One of the other things that Google has done is we understand there's a lot of time that employees spend during uh, reviewing their email. So email is one of the maximum time taking exercise for any user. And what Google has done is embedded AI inside all of the Google Workspace applications, including Gmail. And how that helps us in productivity is, let's say I've got this email, I could click on summarize this email, and Gemini automatically summarizes the entire thread for me, and it gives me a quick information about what's this thread all about. So the summarize the email option is an interesting option. Uh, Whenever you are added on an email thread, you could ask Gemini to give you a quick summary of an individual email, or you could ask it to give you a quick summary of your entire mailbox. So let's say I can ask Gemini that, hey, summarize all my emails from today and tell me what are the action items. Or I could say, tell me where an action item is pending but has not yet been completed. So it's overdue and it's pending for me. So there are multiple ways how I could leverage Gemini to quickly understand information uh, understand what's needed of me, and get my work done again by leveraging AI. So that's a cool way how you could leverage AI inside Gmail. Similarly, we've added AI capabilities inside Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides. We spoke about some of that earlier. Uh, One of the capabilities is a help me create. So whenever you have a new Google document, you could leverage help me create. So
Mhm.
let's say I want to create an employee communication about a new policy. What I could do is I could click on help me create, and I could do the @ sign. As soon as I do the @ sign, it automatically opens up my Google Drive. And now I can give it a document. So let's say I want to give it a sample or a travel policy. Travel policy. Yes. So I've got a sample travel policy, and I can say create an email for employee communication.
Mhm.
And instead of me writing a long email, what I could do is I could just ask Gemini to create a cool email for me, also embed some of the key policy updates, as you can see it here, and make it ready for me to just send it out. And that's what you see on my screen right now. You can see that I could leverage this. I can straight away use this, or if I again want to make changes, I can again use AI to make those changes. So that's a cool way how I could create new content from existing content.
Right.
Sometimes inside an organization, there is also a need to enhance existing content. So let's say we have this travel policy, which was written a few years back, and now we want to revisit it, and we want to take help of AI to actually enhance this policy. And what I could do is, as you can see, I have this travel policy here. What I can do is I can quickly click on Ask Gemini, and let's start a new session of Gemini. So as soon as I ask Gemini, it would automatically give me a quick summary of the content. So it's giving me a quick summary, but I could ask it, suggest ways to improve the policy. And what I'm trying to do here is try to figure out what are the gaps, or what are the things that I may have missed out, or my company may have missed out, but it is the need of the hour for us to consider. And as you can see, it talks about enhancing clarity and comprehensiveness by adding or defining reasonable and necessary expenses, outlining a clear process for the approval, and so on and so forth. So it's given me quite a few new ideas which I otherwise did not have. What I also see is I'm now seeing AI giving me more suggestions that I could leverage to improve my policy. And these were suggestions which were earlier not available for me. So I could leverage these. I could click on one of those to get answers or to get responses. Or if I think I do not need it, I can just go ahead and give a prompt for something new that I wish to do. So that's, again, a cool way of leveraging AI to further enhance information which already exists inside the organization. So we've spoken about creating new content. We've also spoken about enhancing new content. When it comes to enhancing new content, proofreading is an important part, and hence we've introduced AI-based proofreading inside Gemini, which means that now you could use Gemini to identify spelling errors, grammatical errors, choice of words, conciseness or sentence split, and active voice versus passive on any document that you've created, so that before you publish that document, you could ask AI to improvise it and help you to give out a more polished response further. This is a great way how you could leverage AI to get your work done. Uh,
Right. Pratik, could you just demonstrate the tone functionality? I mean, that's something I was a little curious about.
Absolutely, that's a great call out. So let's say, for an example, we've got this paragraph, and what I could do is I could click on Help Me Write, and I can click on Tone, and I could ask Gemini to make it more formal or more casual,
Mhm.
depending on what is the content all about. So for an example, I want it to be a little bit casual. I could click on casual and I could expect Gemini to create something which is more casual for me as an organization. Now, a lot of organizations like a casual way of working versus a very formal way of working. Some of the startups have a very relaxed, casual culture, and the communication needs to be casual as well. You can't have that culture without a casual communication, and this is where you could leverage Gemini. And just in case you don't like it, you can continue to refine it further by changing the tone or using some of the other options to make changes. So that's again a cool way of how you could leverage AI to get some of your work done. And we also spoke about proofreading, which is an important part of enterprises whenever there is new documentation that you're creating, either for your customers, for your employees, for a project update that you're creating for your leadership, so on and so forth.
Right.
Now, when it comes to leadership, there is nothing better than a slide. What if I could create a single slide and give that to my leadership? But sometimes I'm not very good at creating slides. And that's where Gemini comes to the rescue. As you can see here, I've got Gemini embedded inside Google Slides. And what I can do is I can again do the @ sign, and I can again refer the travel policy. Now, let's say we want to create a single slide for this travel policy. What I could do is I could ask Gemini to create a slide. And now what's happening is Gemini is looking at all the content which is there inside the travel policy, and it'll create a single slide for me. Very soon, we are going to bring the capability of doing it multi-slide, which means you'll be able to create several slides, or let's say a 10 slider or a 15 slider over a
Mhm.
period of time. Uh, as you can see, it's created a single slider that I can use for my employee communication or for my leadership communication. But let's
Mhm.
say I don't like the image. An image says is better than 1,000 words, but it has to be the right image. I don't like this image. What I could do is I could again leverage AI to create the right image. So I can click on. So what I did was I did a right click, clicked on replace image, and now I can replace an image by using AI. So I can take help from Gemini to create that image. So let's say I want to create an image of biking on mountains, as this is something to do with travel, and I like mountains when I travel. So let's do something related to biking on mountains.
Mhm.
And while I'm creating this image, I could make changes to the style. I can create a sketch, I can create a photography, vector art, a water cooler. So I can add different styles. But in this case, I just wanted a sample. And this has created this for me. So I could just click on replace, and it automatically creates and replaces that image for me. Now this looks like a cool document for me to take to my leadership and talk about some of the cool things that we have added to our travel policy. So that's those are some of the ways how users can leverage AI inside the Google Workspace applications. Um, a lot of times, Google Sheets is one of the most famous uh, document editors that we have at Google. And a lot of times, work gets done inside Google Sheets. So we want to simplify how that work gets done. So as you can see here, what we've done is we've created various pre-built modules for you. So you could utilize these modules without even the need of AI. So you could, if you're working on an event, if you're working on a project, if you're working on a content tracking or product prioritization, you can just utilize this to create. But what if I'm working on something which is not a part of it? I could leverage the Ask Gemini. So what I could do is, let's say I want to create a social media marketing plan to promote bikes during Diwali.
Okay.
And like I said, Gemini could be leveraged for a variety of tasks. In this case, I'm a social media marketing manager, and I want to take help in creating a quick uh, campaign. And as you can see, it creates a quick campaign for me, which I could look at. If I don't like it, what I see, I could obviously close it, insert it, or I can ask it to do that again, which is again a cool way of me to get something from 0 to 1. If I have a plan in mind, if I know what I want to do, I can go to Gemini and ask it to do it for me rather than me doing it for myself. And as you can see, it's created a quick plan for me. And now I could leverage this plan, or I can further refine this plan as well, which is again a cool way of using AI. I would like to shift a few my gears right now, and I would like to showcase some other capabilities.
Mhm.
Now, all of us, in some way or the other, have shared our resume for an interview, right? And a lot of times, the interviewing manager or the hiring manager has to go through a lot of resumes to identify who's the top talent, who's the first person that I want to interview. Now, that can be a hiring manager in a finance team, that can be a hiring manager in marketing team, that can be a hiring manager in the HR team, engineering team, product team, so on and so forth. So how could they use AI to automate this entire work? And one of the ways that I do it is, if you see it here, I've got a few resumes in my Google Drive. I want to hire a developer for a new project. And what I could do is I can ask Gemini to help me in this process. So I can select all of them, and I can just give those documents to Gemini. And what
Mhm.
Gemini is doing now is it's going through these resumes, and it's going to help me understand who's the right candidate for my role. And that's a cool way of how I can get my work done without going through 9 different resumes and then compare them to come up with the first person that I want to interview. So as you can see here, Gemini quickly went through the documents, and it quickly gives me a quick summary. I could also ask it questions like create a comparison basis, experience, and skill set. And that's critical for anybody to analyze uh, a difference between one resume versus the other. So why don't we ask Gemini to do that for us? And there can be multiple ways. You can ask it to create a tabular comparison. You can ask it to create a comparison in a paragraph. In this case, it's created a good tabular comparison for us. And it's giving us different options of experience, skills, projects, leadership, specialization. It's also given me a very cool summary at the end, so that I could leverage this in my day-to-day work, and I do not have to worry about going through all of this in a mundane way. I could rather use AI to get my work done. Now, what does all of this allow me to do? It allows me to not just enable a new way of working inside my organization, but it also gives my users ability to get new projects undertaken without thinking, hey, I'm not a coder, and hence I cannot do this. Because now I've got Gemini to do that for me. So if I want Gemini to create a new website for me, all I need is I need to tell it that uh, create code for, let me change the spelling, create code for a new e-commerce website. And brainstorm and keep brainstorming with Gemini to get my work done. As you can see it here, I'm not a guy who knows code, but I've been able to get something going. Now I can, obviously, this is just the beginning. There is a lot of things that I will have to do to create this e-commerce website, but at least I've got a brainstorming partner, or I've got a virtual assistant in Gemini to get my work done. Those are some of the cool ways how we can enable a new way of working inside our organizations, expand the horizons of our users, of our employees, and get more productive work, more successful work out as an output, a higher quality output from our users, so that we don't have to worry about spending time in reviewing. Rather, we should spend more time in thinking of a 10x strategy of where would we like to take our organization forward. With that, I would like to pause a bit and give it back to Shomik.
Thank you so much. I think it was a fascinating demonstration there. I mean, quite a few functionalities that I could possibly use, especially the meeting one. And if there's no way for others to figure out that it's not me, but my bot replacing me, then I mean, I'm all for it. That's going to save me at least 6 hours every week. Right. I just had a couple of questions, after your presentation, Prateek. So, j- can Gemini take inputs from different formats? Like, for instance, you've got something in PDF, you've got something in Word docs, Zoho docs, etc.
Yes, that's a good question. It can. So it can take Google and non-Google formats, including images as well as an input, and give you responses accordingly.
All right, great, sounds good. We've got some, questions coming in from our users right now. I'll start with R. Shekhar. So Shekhar is asking us, how is this different from ChatGPT, other than doing it in Workspace?
Right. So as you can see, this is an enterprise grade application. So one of the things how we need to look at this is while there are a lot of generative AI chat apps which are available, we need to be clear which apps have this enterprise grade security controls and which apps do not. So there is a clear demarcation between what a consumer app does versus what an enterprise grade application does. And what I'm showcasing to you today, Gemini for Google Workspace is an enterprise grade application with enterprise grade security controls. Your data stays within the boundaries of your organization. Your data is not utilized by Google or by anybody else to refer that data or to improve our models or for any other reason. So that's a big differentiator for an organization because your data is your IP.
Correct, that's true. And especially we're going to get, tougher GRC mandates. So that part of it is going to be extremely critical for organizations. We've got Amit Toshniwal who's asking us, this is interestingly similar to an AI bot. The important question is, does every person need to have a Gemini license to use these kind of bots?
Good question. So if you already have Google Workspace in your organization, you can subscribe for a Gemini for Google Workspace, which is an additional service. And with that subscription, the users that have this license will get all of these capabilities enabled. We have different licensing options. So you could reach out to your Google representative or your Google contact who could help you with this, or you can fill up the feedback form, which we will showcase towards the end. And then Google Teams could reach out to you to get going.
All right. We've got a third question coming in from Natarajan Bharanidharan, who's asking us, can Gemini templatize contract documents?
Very good question. So Gemini would do what you would ask it to do or what you would train it to do. And I showcase some of that using the employee bot that I had created. So if you have a specific template in mind, you can then give those instructions to Gemini so that it gives you responses within those boundaries. So you could definitely leverage that. Gems inside Gemini is very new capability. We are just launching it right now. And this is going to be one of the key roadmap items for us to help organizations stay within their content boundaries or limitations.
Right. And Pratik, I was just curious, you can do a lot of interaction with the Gemini bot. Is there, any provision for voice-based commands as well at this point?
Fantastic question. So we are going to come up with the natural voice capability very soon. It is going to get launched anytime now in the next few weeks. And that's going to give you a live discussion capability, just like Shomik, you and I are talking right now, so that Gemini could answer your questions. In fact, there's already an Android app, if I'm not wrong, which might already be live today with Gemini Live capability. At least it's live for some of our test users. I'm not sure if it is live for everybody, but very soon we're going to get it live for both iOS, Android, and for the web.
All right. We've got a few more questions, coming in from our audience, but then I just want to rope in Prasanna also at this point, because there's some question that I was a little curious about. Prasanna, any new technology always sees some kind of pushback from your users. How were you able to overcome that pushback? And also, were you able to, increase the productivity? What tangible benefits were you able to see?
Right. With regards to Gemini and all the Gen AI capabilities, right? In all honesty, we are not. I wouldn't say our org was dabbling in the unknown, right? Because we were obviously cautious initially, and we did take our time before we gave it a try. So from that standpoint, not an early adopter. We're not taking a huge risk. But more than that, the real crux of the whole adoption challenge is that there is no barrier, or the barrier to give it a try is minimal, if not zero, right? And all it takes is a little bit of curiosity, a little bit of what we internally call it as a value in terms of being or having a growth mindset. So for us, it was all about, you know what, we were cautious initially, especially Pratik mentioned about Gemini being enterprise grade, and us being a fintech, we have to be extra cautious, which is why we were not necessarily early adopters when it came to ChatGPT or some of the other tools, because you're not quite sure where the data is going and whatnot, right? So we were obviously cautious initially, and then later the barrier to try or to give it a try is significantly low. So that point is just a case of give it a try, do a hands-on, and once you do that, it's just a matter of time before you will realize the value, right? So that's what I would say. Anyone who's unsure or on the fence, right? Just give it a try, and if you're genuinely not able to derive value from it, so be it. It's okay if you don't see enough value and don't adopt it. But given what Pratik has demonstrated, right, it's clear that there are tons and tons of opportunities to realize efficiency and productivity gains, and that's exactly how it has played out for many of the employees at FI as well.
Well said. And at this point, I would encourage the audience as well to give it a shot. I think Pratik is going to show us a QR code at the end of this, where you can actually scan it and then sign up for a free 14-day trial. We're going to come to that next. Couple of other questions also that have come up, regarding Gemini capabilities. We've got one from Sagar Chauhan, who's asking us, can I buy fewer licenses than the number of workspace users?
Yes, you can. You can go for as many licenses as you require, and you can scale up over a period of time as well.
All right. And we have got one question from Neela Kandan. Any conversation in 2024 is not going to go without this topic, and that's, of course, security. So Neela Kandan is asking us, how secure is an organization's data being confidential when you're using Gemini or Google Gems? If you can just compare it to what are the other alternatives. For instance, we've got ChatGPT out here, but then how is Gemini going to be more aligned towards these kind of sectors which are very GRC conscious, for instance, fintech, banking, etc.?
Yeah, and that's an important part of or an important consideration for Google as well. Because if you look at Google as an organization, we have a lot of data across various departments, across various teams. Google also has a fintech arm called Google Pay, which all of us use in our daily lives, and so hence we have to be very clear with what the regulations say, how our employees can leverage technology. And one of the things that we have realized is that if Google has to use it, it has to be absolute enterprise grade secure, and only then would Google use it for our employees. And the good thing about Google Workspace is it's the same service, it's the same instance. So when you subscribe to Google Workspace as an organization, and when you subscribe to Gemini for Google Workspace as an organization, you get the same grade of enterprise security, which you get for your emails, which you get for your documents, which you get for information which is inside your Google Drive. And that's the same boundary that we have set for Gemini as well. So neither can Gemini learn from that data, nor can Gemini get access to that data for use outside of what you intend to use it for. Gemini just looks at that data and gives you a response basis that data. And that's how we keep it within the secured boundaries of your organization, versus a consumer application which does not have those boundaries set. And that's why we continuously talk about Gemini for Google Workspace being an enterprise grade application, and it does not have the security issues which a consumer application would have.
Understood. And I presume, it's in line with all the localization requirements that you're normally following in India, right?
So all the data, which is or in fact, the entire Google Workspace ecosystem, including Gemini for Workspace, is compliant to all the local regulatory laws that we have internally in India and in other countries as well, wherever Gemini has been launched.
Right. Understandable. I've got one more question that's coming in from Natarajan, and that's going to be the last question I can take in the interest of time. And this question is, can Gemini also work and perform in MS Office instead of Google Workspace?
So what you could do is you could actually save those MS files inside Google Drive, and then you could leverage. In case you don't want to do that, you could leverage the standalone Gemini app, which is the gemini.google.com app. And on the standalone app, you can give it any format, whether it is a Microsoft format, a Google format, Adobe PDF, or any other format, or including an image as well. You could obviously share it there. What I would also like to encourage our participants is, if you could scan the form that you're seeing, if you can scan this QR code, this would open up a Google form. And if you could share your feedback about today's session, what we would do is we would definitely reach out to you, and we would try to identify what is it that you want to start with, and we can initiate that partnership together with you. So please share your feedback by scanning the QR code. We will also send a feedback form on the email to participants who registered. But the better thing is to just scan it right now and share your feedback. Feedback is a gift. It'll help us to obviously understand the overall mood.
Absolutely. Thanks for underlining that again, Prateek. And as Prasanna said earlier during his session, take the dive. Just give it a shot, and then you can work out whether it's going to be adept for your organization or not. All right, folks, with that, we have come to the end of today's session. It was a great learning experience, the kind of capabilities that Gemini can bring. And of course, hearing from Prasanna on how it helped him solve some of the complexities, and also how it boosted productivity in his area of operations. So again, thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you, Prateek, and thank you, Prasanna, for joining us today. Audience, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Do watch out for the email that we are going to be reaching out to you with. Share your feedback, and do scan the QR code on your screens as well. All right, folks. Thanks so much again, and then you guys have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.